Good morning. It is time for today's episode of Midweek Motivation Live. I trust that everyone is doing well today. I know that I am. It's good to see you. People already starting to tune in. We're going to give you just a couple of seconds as people tune in to join the show. Every morning, Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, we go live with Midweek Motivation Live, another episode. Today's episode is going to be great for you. I think it's going to change your life. You know, they're always changing mine. I'm preaching at me as I'm preaching at you. Teaching, not preaching. Helping, telling, not selling. That's what we do here at Midweek Motivation Live. Facts tell, but stories sell. So we're going to tell you a little bit of some stories today. But some of the things we're going to talk about today are on embracing change, why change is important in our life. I think it's an important topic for us to talk about today. And like I said, it's going to help me as it helps you. Why you must change to grow, as people are continuing to jump in and join the show today. Midweek Motivation Live, now on all major podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. You can find Midweek Motivation Live. I'm going to just got a little bit of glare on my glasses here real fast. Let me wipe those off. I need to be able to see my screen as you're seeing me too. Don't want any glitches in there. That's all good. Wonderful. Drinking my coffee today in another coffee cup. You know, I'm usually in the Fire Slice cup. Today I'm using my this is the Patrick Lee, Captain of the Co-Host, Priest of Persuasion cup, and it's a little hard for y'all to read. Drinking my coffee in that today, and today's show is about change. Years ago, I used to be the co-host of a radio show for multiple years, two different iterations of a radio show. And one of our faithful listeners, Bill, this amazing musician and friend, was a proud supporter of the show, and he had matching cups made for my friend Patrick Lee Brown, and Patrick Lee. So we were twice the Pat, half the fat. We had a radio show called the Pat Brown Show for many years, and I broke out my radio announcer cup today to drink my coffee out of, and I love it. Bill was a great man. He's passed on to be with the Lord. Was a proud listener of that show. Like many of you now are great and faithful followers and listeners to Midweek Motivation Live. So why you must change to grow is what I want to talk to you about today. When we learn this concept, why we learn its importance, and how we learn to use that in our life, I think is going to help all of us here on Midweek Motivation Live. It's where we help you get unstuck, right? We talked about getting out of the rut a couple of weeks ago. We want you to be able to move forward with purpose right in the middle of the week, Wednesday mornings at 10 o'clock, right? It's hump day. So as your host, Patrick Lee, today, we're going to talk about that very subject, a subject that most people either fear or avoid. Some people cringe at the word change. And I know that many people, as they get older, change is very hard. I am just now coming into a season of massive growth in my life and change. I'm fixing to be 62 years old. I feel like I'm just about becoming an adult. How about you guys? Are any of you just now coming into the point to where you feel like you're just about grown up? I think that's where I'm actually almost to the point in age and maturity that I'm probably old enough to leave my mom's basement and get a real job, right? Actually did that at 17 years old, and love my mom, but I was one of those early bloomers. I had to get out of the house early and had to go out and make my way and become my own man. I moved to Texas at 19 and a half years old, nearly 20 years old, and moved halfway across the country and stayed here as a young man and decided to forge out my own way in life. Cody says, your hair is looking sharp. Thank you, man. Johnny Boy the Barber. Got to give props to Johnny Boy the Barber at Renegades Hair Barbershop on I-40. Yeah, Johnny Boy, my man, just gave me a fresh cut this week. Hello, Miss Marlene. Good to see you watching also. Marlene's had a lot of change in her life. So, Cody, a lot of you people that are watching the show, you know that we must change some things, some concepts and business practices that are working are always worthy of keeping in the mix, but there are other things that we know that we need to change. Change isn't the enemy. It's something I think that it's necessary for us to grow. It's actually the doorway to our next breakthrough in life. Whether you're stuck in a stagnant season in life, or your business feels like it's not growing, or maybe you've hit a plateau and you're tired of that, you need to move on. Maybe this message is for you today, right? Let's dive in. Good morning, Miss Gina. You've had a lot of change in your life as well. Also, Val, good to see you watching also this morning, all the way from over in Carlsbad. Good to see you on here, my dear friend Val. Number one, I want to talk to you about today, our first topic in the subject of change. Change is proof of growth. If people never see anything different in your life, they have no way of knowing if anything in your life is getting better, right? Change is the proof of growth. If everything in your life stays the same, you're really not growing, are you? And we say this all the time in life. You're either growing or you're going forward or you're moving backward. There's no such thing as coasting. But it feels like if nothing ever changes in your life, that's what's going on. You're coasting. And coasting always leads downhill. Write this down. You can't coast uphill. You just can't do it, right? On a scooter, on a bike, in a wheelchair. You can't coast uphill. You can only coast downhill. The best version of yourself is not found in the coasting periods, in the comfort zone, right? Courage isn't born in your comfort zone. Courage is born at the end of your comfort zone, where your comfort zone ends. That's where courage begins. It's born in the fire of transition and change. Change forces us to reevaluate our priorities, sharpen our skills, and awaken dormant dreams and goals, things that we may have thought had fallen by the wayside, right? Think about it. Caterpillars don't become butterflies by staying the same. They don't stay in the cocoon forever. They have to go through the transformation that causes the metamorphosis for them to emerge from that cocoon, that chrysalis stage, into the large butterfly or the moth that they're destined to become. Change is evident that you're evolving. If the caterpillar was stuck in this cocoon, but every time someone came by the cocoon and asked, what it was, it would say, I'm a butterfly, right? And you would say, I'm a butterfly, I'm a butterfly. And everyone would look at you and say, no, you're a caterpillar. It's not until they see you emerge as the new person, the new version of yourself that you're destined to be, that they understand that change is the evidence of growth, right? It's the evidence that you're evolving, that you're growing in life, whether it's a new career, a bold move in your business, or a change even in your mindset. And many times that's what we're going to talk about. That's the catalyst that causes change. Every positive shift expands your capacity for growth in business, in life, in relationships. Instead of dreading change, start seeing it as proof that you're alive and that you are in motion. I know that I am learning to embrace change. I'm going through other changes in my life, my family, my business. We've experienced a lot of change lately. And the thing that I have to continue to realize and tell myself is that my mindset will dictate the direction my change goes. And my mindset about change is what's going to determine how successful I become in this next stage of my life. Everything in life happens for you, not to you, right? Everything is a stepping stone to your next level. And the mindset we have to adapt and adopt is accepting that this is a stepping stone to my next level. This is not a door shut in my face. This is maybe a barricade that I have to bulldoze my way through to get to the next level. It may be a hill or a mountain that I have to climb to get to that next level. Change is always uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And it's usually the most uncomfortable before it flips the corner from becoming insurmountable to where it becomes the catalyst of growth. You turn that from an obstacle, you turn that obstacle into fuel for growth, right? You can't create the change. You can't climb the mountain if you continue to let that be seen as an obstacle, a stumbling block, or something, a weight that's dragging you down. You have to change your mindset and say, that is fuel that's going to power me to the next level, right? You can't reach new heights if you're anchored to the past. If your scooter, your bike, your car, whatever is positioned downhill, you're still in coasting mode, and you've got to learn to turn that around, power yourself up to get to the next level in life that you're called to get to. Hey, Miss Lizzie, great to see you on the show again today. Lizzie, great friend of mine from high school, all the way back in Oregon. Miss Mary, good to see you on here as well. Elizabeth says, change is the only consistent. I think we say it that way. Consistent or constant change is the only constant. Absolutely. Great, great comment. It's true. One of the things in life that never changes is that life always changes. And that's what we have got to learn to understand. Number two, today, resistance to change is fear-based, not fact-based. The biggest reason we resist change isn't logic, it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, right? Fear of the unknown. Our brain is wired to seek safety, peace, comfort. And everything new kind of feels like a threat sometimes. Maybe I'm not familiar with this. This is a feeling I'm not comfortable with. I'm not familiar with these new people or with these new levels or with these new responsibilities. But fear is a liar with a very loud voice. Let me say that again. Fear is a liar with a very loud voice trying to hold you back. Excuse me. This is good coffee today. I'm doped up on a lot of things. Of course, I've got my morning kick. All of you know I love Chuck Norris's morning kick as well. It's full of ashwagandha and spirulina and collagen. Many of you watching the show also know I drink morning kick. I'm not sponsored. I should be. We'll tell you about our sponsor later today, but I'm drinking some great coffee and I'm drinking my morning kick, and I'm also nursing an injured back. So pardon me if I make an accidental wince if I turn too quickly in the wrong direction. I pulled a muscle in my back and it's been giving me a little grief, but it's, you know what? I'm healing and I'm on the way to a new level in life. It's all good. So anyway, like I said, our brain is wired to seek safety and comfort. Our brain is wired to be suspect of new things. And that's kind of, it's not always fear, but it's kind of fear trying to hold you down. And some of that fight or flight response that we have in our body, that we're wired that way also, is there for a reason, and it can tell you when things are dangerous. If you turn the corner and there's a bear, it might be a good idea to turn and run, or to turn and back up and remove yourself from that area. But that's not the kind of fear we're talking about today. This fear is fear is the old acronym, false evidence appearing real. We're really afraid of things that don't always exist. Fear is a liar with a very loud voice. The facts usually tell a different story. Once we find out what we were afraid of, many times we can laugh at the fact that we were afraid of that. I've seen the little videos on TikTok and Instagram of the little baby crying in the water, and he feels like he's drowning and he can't get up. And he's like, help me, help me. And the parent goes over there and just picks the child up and stands him up and says, hey, put your feet down. And that child realizes it's standing in 12 inches of water and it wasn't drowning. It just needed to get its feet under them. And sometimes we're the same way in life. We feel like we're overwhelmed. We just can't get our feet under us, right? But the facts, really, when we understand the facts, we realize that we can stand, we can wade through, we can walk over a lot of these things that we thought were insurmountable. Most of the changes we fear the most, right? Quitting our job, starting a new business, launching that new career, whatever it could be, making a move across the country to start a new business in a new city or a new state. Those are exactly what your future self will thank you for later on. Don't let imagined consequences keep you from real transformation in your life. Thank you, Miss Nicole. It's great to see you on here as well. Miss, good morning. Miss Nicole Wells, good friend. Good to see you on here. Courage, as I say at the end of the show, right? Courage starts at the end of your comfort zone. We need to start telling ourselves that is the case with us. Courage begins at the end of the comfort zone. I need to get through this comfort zone. I need to get to the end of what I'm comfortable with before I can start telling myself that growth happens here, that I can grow in this new space. I was made for more. I can rise to the top. When fear rises up and starts telling you all of these lies, you need to tell it back, or answer it back with faith and with truth. Always answer fear-based content with facts. Just tell fear what you know to be true, instead of letting fear tell you what could be and keep you held back, right? Always answer fear with facts. I was made for more. I have the power to achieve more. I have the strength to bust through this obstacle and get into the next room. I have the strength to climb this mountain and get to the top. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of fear. The moment you stop letting fear drive you, change becomes a tool, not a threat, right? It becomes the fuel, not the weight holding you back. And when you master change, you become a creator of your future, not a victim of your past. Too many people live in the past. I've shared on the show, Elizabeth, watching the show today, Elizabeth knew me when I was a scrawny little kid on the Oregon coast growing up. I was the youngest kid in my class, and I was probably one of the smallest kids in my class, and was picked on consistently for a couple of years till I learned to grow up and get over that and just learn how to talk to people. But I could have lived that past. I could have stayed home. I could have done all of these things and remained tied down to that small town West Coast mindset and never left and never caused anything different to happen in my life. But I knew when I left Bandon, Oregon at 19 and a half years old that, and I actually moved away when I was 18. I turned 18 and I moved a couple of hours away, and I worked in a church and got a new job and started changing myself. And within about a year, I went home for just a couple of months, and then I took off for Texas, and my life changed. I had to let go of that weight that was holding me down. And topic number 3 really set the precedence for how I was going to change my life. Create change by changing your identity first. And I'm not trying to tell you to create an alter ego. You're not going to be Superman as compared to Clark Kent, but you do start changing how you identify yourself from the inside out, right? Real lasting change begins internally on the inside. You don't create change by just changing your habits alone. That's a byproduct of the internal change, yes, but you create it by changing how you see yourself. Identity shapes behavior. If you still see yourself as someone who always struggles, you self-sabotage. I was one of those guys for years, and I still battle that at 61 years old. It's easy for me. This is how fear talks to you. It's easy for me to take the easy way out. It's easy for me to tell myself, you were from a less affluent family on the West Coast, Pentecostal kids. It would be so easy for you to just check out and go back out and get another job and just settle for normalcy and small living. And that was not me. So I constantly have to tell myself, Patrick, you were created for more. Everyone had told me that from the time I was a little kid. My teachers used to write things in my yearbook. Mrs. Milne in the 7th grade said I was a reading and spelling wizard. These are little things that you don't remember until you have to cause yourself to bring them back to your memory. I read cassettes into tape. One of the earliest things when I was a little kid, I read cassettes on tape in the library in language arts class of the book assignments that would be given to the kids in the grades above me that didn't know how to read as well as I could. So before we had Audible, right, you had books on tape. And in those years when I was a little kid, I'm like 10 years old, 11 years old, and I'm reading books on tape because the teacher saw in me what was needed to help the kids that were older than me that struggled in that area of life. So for nearly one whole school year, I used to read books on tape to help kids that were older than me get ahead in life. So I always had people that would say these things. We see so much greatness in you. And I've just constantly have to continue to remind myself there is greatness in me, just like there's greatness in all of you. We just have to remind ourselves that from time to time. We create change by changing our identity first. If you start to see yourself as capable, as resourceful, as destined for more, everything begins to shift from the inside out. Once you get your mindset right, that's why mindset work is so crucial in both life and business. Speak to yourself the way your future self would speak to you. Act from your future, not your past. How would successful Patrick act? How would successful Cody act? Cody's already successful. I'm just using his name as an example. How would successful Nicole act? If I were who I believe I'm destined to be, how would I carry myself in public? How would I speak to others? How would I allow, here you go, how would I allow others to speak to me? There are certain types of speech that we simply don't allow in our presence, correct? Correct? There are certain types of boundaries that we set with others, correct? And if you're not, these are self-policing questions you need to ask yourself right now. How do I allow others to treat me? Am I truly acting as I would in my future, or am I simply living based on the bondage of my past, right? How would my future self handle my finances? How would my future self, the self that I know I'm destined to be, how would I react or act in my relationships? When you level up your identity, your environment, your relationships start to change. Your finances and opportunities begin to align with that vision of who you see you are. Don't try to change everything overnight, but start to envision who you are becoming. Start by upgrading the most important story you tell every day, and that's the story you tell about yourself in your own mind. I think it's important. I truly do. Hey, at the end of this point, number 3, I just want to say real quick, if you're in the Amarillo area and you're going through change in your life or business, and that may include your home situation, the house that you live in. You see this behind me on the screen. I own and run the Patrick Lee Group, residential real estate company. We dabble in land and farm and ranch and commercial as well, but my wheelhouse is mainly residential real estate sales. If your home situation is changing and you're feeling like your environment needs to change, you need a new home, please reach out to me at 806-570-7712. That's my phone number, the Patrick Lee Group. I can help you get into a new home. If you feel like you're downsizing and you're an empty nester and you need to maybe buy a smaller home, I can help you sell the home you're in, get you a great price for it. The market is really good for buyers right now, but it's also strong and steady for sellers. We help great people just like you buy and sell homes with confidence all the time. You can find me at patricklee.exprealty.com or shoot me a DM. And now back on to the show. Point number 4, in business and life, we need to be disruptors, not settlers. Now, I grew up on the Oregon coast, and along the Columbia River on the north side of Oregon, you can still see the ruts in the ground from the wagon trains that went across the country on the Lewis and Clark Trail. Once they got out there to the west, of course, Sacagawea, the Indian maiden, led them through the mountains all the way to the coast. There's a big statue of Lewis and Clark in Sacagawea. But the settlers embraced change. They decided to leave the east. My family was raised in the Central Appalachian Mountains. We come from Irish and Scottish, mainly Scottish descent, Black Dutch, bred with American Indians and other nationalities. And about 5 generations back on one side of the family, we had Cherokee and Chickasaw Indians that married into the family. So I've got all of these different nationalities, but most of the people on the west half of the country all came from the eastern side of the country, and they were settlers. But the different kind of settler I want to talk about today isn't the settlers that embraced change and saw a dream for a new future. Those were the people that put everything they had in the back of a Conestoga wagon and they started going out west, right? Head west, young man. That was the motto back then. But they went out there and found a new piece of land and they settled on it. And that's where many of the cities came from, even city of Amarillo, where we live now. People came and settled the region. But that's not the kind of settler I'm talking about today. I'm talking about, amen, Valerie, good to see you as well, my friend. Mary, yes, absolutely. Great. People still commenting. I love that. I get to see the comments live. I comment to you live on the show, but I can't comment on social media where a lot of people post the comments while the show is live. I go in after the show airs, and I'll usually go in there and like and love your comment and also respond. And that helps us in the analytics, by the way, helps push us up the chart. So continue to comment. But this topic about in business and life, be a disruptor, not a settler. The disruptor is the person that goes out there and disrupts the norm, the status quo. We need to constantly be disrupting the status quo, starting with the status quo in our own life. The most successful companies and leaders aren't the ones who waited for change to happen to them. They created change for themselves. They see where things were heading. They adapt early, right? You need to start seeing trends early instead of waiting. Some of you are still not embracing AI. Some of you still think Chat GPT is the devil. And you're like, Chat GPT is the mark of the beast. Chat GPT is simply a tool, just like money is a tool. So you have to learn to sometimes to become an early adapter of technology. People hated computers when they started, but computers are an everyday point of life. People resisted cell phones, but now everyone walks around with a cell phone in their hand, right? To the point that we now have to learn how to teach people how to put the cell phone down, right? Lock it in the console of your car when you're going in for a meal so you can be present with the people that you know and love, as opposed to constantly present on the cell phone, right? We have to learn how to be a disruptor, not a settler. So we don't always want to just wait for change to happen, right? We need to learn to create change. We need to adapt to new things that are happening, learn how to adapt them into our life, our relationships, and our businesses, right? We need to learn how to utilize this technology to help us get to where we're heading. We need to adapt early. We need to innovate fast, and we need to move forward. Settlers wait for permission. Disruptors build momentum. The same is true in our personal lives. You don't need to wait for the stars to align or the economy to get better, like we just talked about, buying a house, selling a home. If you wait for the economy to be perfect, you'll be waiting a long time. You'll stay in the same home until you die. Is that what you want? I bought my home 23 years ago. Interest rate was 7%. I think I paid 7 even or 7.1. And 7% is actually a little real estate knowledge. 7% over the last 50 years has been the average interest rate for buying and selling homes in America. 50 years. Okay. Interest rates right now are at 6%. They just went down a little bit. You can get an FHA loan or a VA loan from many lenders that I know and trust and work with at 5.5 to 5.6%. Those are phenomenal interest rates. And many people are still afraid to go out and buy a home because they said, well, I'm waiting for interest rates to go back down to 3%. 3% was a crazy anomaly that happened for a couple of years based on a lot of factors, but could potentially never happen again. And you would miss out on owning the home of your dreams because of a percentage rate, right? You date the percentage rate, you marry the house. Marry the house, date the rate. And when rates go down a little bit, you refinance in the future. I'm just giving you help here. I'm helping you learn how to embrace change. It's okay. 7% was the average over 50 years. Hello, Miss Lisa, my dear friend. Good to see you watching as well. All of my besties always watching the show. I love that. So you have to learn to be a disruptor. The company I happen to work with now is called EXP. EXP Realty LLC. We're the largest cloud brokerage in America. What's a cloud brokerage? Everything that we do is on the internet. It's all in the cloud. You can have a brick and mortar building. You cannot have a brick and mortar building. You can work on a cell phone. You can work from your car, from your pickup, or from roasters, having a nice cup of coffee if you want, the coffee shop. And I do that frequently now. They know what I want when I walk in the door. Americano, hot, no room. Yep, that's my order. And if it's hot in the afternoon, it's a pearl. It's not on the menu. It's on the secret menu. It's called an iced pearl, and it's from heaven. It's amazing. Go to Roasters. Tell them Patrick Lee said you want an iced pearl. Iced coffee, black iced coffee over ice with sweet cold foam on top that melts into it like heaven. It's amazing. Clouds of joy in my coffee. See, so these are all That's what we do. EXP saw the changes early on in real estate, and they created everything in the cloud. We were the most early adapters, first adapters of cloud real estate. We have over 60 agents right here in our local market of 1,200 agents, all at EXP. We all office with whomever or without whomever and work from wherever we want. Change has caused us to be the largest. We have the largest dollar amount of transactions in America over all of the other brick and mortar big box brokerages. And people say, well, you're just a recruiting company. Well, we do recruit more agents right now than any other brokerage in America. And it's for that reason. We are early adapters of change. We're not settling for things the same way they were. We go out and create change. We see things that are happening. We learn how to adapt it to success. The same thing, like I said, is true in our personal life. Don't wait for life to happen. Go out and create the life you want. You need a clear vision, right? A bold step to take that action, the willingness to put one foot in front of the other, get uncomfortable outside the comfort zone, right? And move forward. What worked yesterday won't always work tomorrow. Ask yourself, where am I settling in my life? Where am I settling in my business? Where am I settling in my relationships? How am I allowing people to treat me? Would future Lisa allow people to talk to me the way I allow them to talk to me today? Would future Gina allow people to treat her the way that successful Gina would allow people to treat her 15 years from now in the future? I don't think so. Whoever it is watching the show, whether you're Bob, Nancy, Tracy, or Nicole, would your future successful self allow people to treat you the way that you do? Would you speak the same way, carry yourself the same way, worry about money the same way in the future? And if that answer is no, right, you start changing that identity today. You start acting like the person you're intending to become. Ask yourself, where am I settling in life? Where do I need to disrupt things? Then act on that. Hire a coach, maybe. Launch a podcast like Midweek Motivation Live and start learning to teach other people the same growth concepts that you're learning as you move forward. Where am I settling in life? What do I need to disrupt? Maybe set some new boundaries. Maybe rebuild some systems or hire someone to help you build new systems to carry to the next level you intend to get to. Be the person who chooses change before change chooses you. And that's our final point for the day. Today it was 4 points and a poem minus the poem, right? I'm all here to give you points and poems, and I'm all out of poems. There you go. I was listening to a rapper yesterday. Patrick Lee, what were you doing listening to a rapper? I was listening to a Christian rapper, and I realized that one of the verses this rapper was rapping was a poem that I had read like 40 years ago. And I'm like, now that's funny. He just, and isn't that what rappers do, right? They're just poets setting their words as a poem to a beat. And I'm going to stop there. No poem today, but 4 points. And I hope these helped you. Today's show, of course, we have become a sponsored show. We are sponsored by Stellar. We do have some final points here in just a second as we close the show, but I do want to mention our sponsor today, Stellar, www.getstellar.com. Multiple products here that I take every day. Energy focused mushroom gummies without CBD, but they also have products like the THCV gel caps. This is an appetite suppressant, 900 total cannabinoids in that product. They have regular gummies, sleep gummies. They have pet tincture for your pet. If you have a pet with anxiety, nerves, and fear, you can go to getstellar.com. They have multiple products, tinctures, gel caps, gummies, 0.003 THC or less products, or CBD free, but they're an amazing company. They now are the proud sponsor of Midweek Motivation Live. If you go to their website, use the code Patrick20, you'll get 20% off all future orders of Stellar. It's not a multi-level company. I cannot sponsor you into the company and get paid for that. Neither can you. It's just a great company with phenomenal products. I know the owners. I think that they can really help you. Use getstellar.com code Patrick20 to get 20% off all your orders of Stellar. Remember, friends, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mary says, great show. I appreciate it so much. Final thoughts today. Change isn't coming to hurt you. Change is coming to help you. Change isn't happening to you. Change is happening for you, right? The more momentum you'll build if you allow change to happen. The more you embrace change in your mindset, your mission, and your money, the more growth you'll experience. This week, don't run from change. Run towards change. Don't run from it. Run towards it. Don't run from it. Run towards it. Embrace it. Like the people on the beach when they see their love and they haven't seen each other. You see all those videos and they run towards each other with their arms outstretched. That's how we need to be with change. You see it coming, open your arms wide, run towards it, embrace it. Because the future you is only going to happen if you do that, if you learn to embrace change. I think it'll help you just like it's helping me. Pete, John, great to see you. John, I trust that you are getting better after your recent posts on social media. I'm good to see that you're getting better. Good to see you, Pete, my brother from another mother as well on here watching the show today. Good morning to you. Remember, guys, this has been Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee, helping you break free and build and move forward. Don't forget to share this episode, leave a review, go to the YouTube channel, like, love, and share the show. Leave me a comment. That helps me grow in YouTube as well. Midweek Motivation Live. Yes, John, hip surgery. I was looking at that, and you were on the show last week, and I didn't even know you were watching the show, and then you ended up going in the hospital having hip surgery. Prayers for you, my friend, for a fast and 100% speedy recovery. Don't forget, like I said, like, love, share the show, leave a review, click on the bell, get notifications on YouTube. You're not stuck. You're just one bold decision away from your next chapter in life. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye-bye.